Yo guys, welcome to the video. This is Josh or Milky, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the final scarab farm that I've been doing. So we've farmed scarabs with rare monsters in the divinity scarab farm. We've done magic monsters yesterday with the evolution shrine. So today, I thought I'd try it out with unique mobs, Rogue Exile. So this was just a test. Obviously, the strat worked pretty well, but as always, these are just tests for me finding new strategies. A lot of people keep telling me about the ambush strat. I'm very aware of the ambush strat. I've done it myself quite a bit. But I'm just trying to find other stuff as well. So for those people that just want the absolute best thing, that ambush strat is very, very strong. But I'm just trying to find other things and test other methods to farm as well. So today's strat, as I say, we went with Rogue Exiles. Now, if you don't know about the new Titanic Scarabs, they give you 2% increased toughness, damage, rarity, and quantity on those Rogue Exiles per 1% pack size. Now, it is quite difficult to roll your maps for both pack size and Scarabs, so I simply rolled for Scarabs. There were changes today, but I have found that rolling for maps is pretty much fine. It seems almost identical, assuming you can run a decent number of the mods. This one's going to be quite difficult. We'll see how many times I die, as these maps are very difficult indeed. Applying delirium mobs to these maps makes them much more difficult as well, because if you kill a gigantification exile, you get all the on-death delirium effects multiple times stacked on top of each other, and it gets quite annoying. So I would be careful using a delirium mob on these. It did get quite crazy when I was trying that myself. Also, the boss is extremely tanky. So, as I say, a hard strat. But the idea was to add anarchy to the map, as many Rogue Exiles as possible, whilst using this gigantification scarab, which causes them to turn into dolls, like they spawn more Rogue Exiles afterwards. And then we can use Ritual to resummon them. Now, this is quite interesting. I tried this for the previous shrine. It didn't work, but it did actually. What I tested last time was on the normal exiles, not these giant exiles. So what happens is the Ritual will resummon the giant one. The giant one will not drop any loot, but the subsequent Rogue Exiles will drop all the loot that they would usually. So if we can kill a giant Rogue Exile within one of our rituals and then keep respawning it over the map, it's going to add a lot more loot to the map. I wouldn't say this is like mandatory. You don't want to be like dragging them around trying to get them on the ritual. It's just going to take too long and you're probably going to die. But certainly something worth keeping in mind as you progress through the map. The tree is pretty normal. We've got ritual nodes, as I say, to get that ritual chance. Scarab nodes, altars as always, all the scarab drop node. This is going to be the last scarab farm unless something crazy comes along. I've enjoyed doing these videos for scarab farm in T17. Hopefully scarabs become, you guys doing this. Scarabs are more abundant. But yeah, let's get in there. I'll show the map how it goes. Very difficult. Very, very difficult maps. Not gonna convince anyone otherwise. It's Rogue Exiles. They're ghosted. Maybe we get a little ruckus map to show off in the video. Who knows? But yeah, the idea, obviously, as always, is to clear through the map as quickly as possible, picking up anything you get as you go. There's no need to loot afterwards in this strategy, unless you're doing delirium, and then maybe you want to do that. We are looking, as I said, for those big exiles on top of these rituals. Doesn't look like we got one here, so I'm gonna ignore that. And just keep it in mind. It might sound annoying to have to keep it in mind and come back to it, but I wouldn't try and be too thorough with this. It's nice to get those additional exiles, but not mandatory. You can see this guy is going to split, and they're going to drop scarabs right there. So a decent conduit for dropping scarabs. Obviously, you've got the node on the tree that gives unique mobs. I think it's an extra, what? 200% increased chance to drop scarabs. So we're going to be getting a lot of scarabs from all these Rogue Exiles. And yeah, that's the whole agenda. Can it compete with any of the other two that I've done? We'll see when we get to the results. I think I might have got this guy within the range of the ritual. Let's see. Actually, I had another one here that I should have killed first. Maybe he gets absorbed afterwards. Yeah, here we go. We got this guy. There we go. And you can see the extra scarabs we get because I killed him in the ritual. So now any ritual I do after this is going to do the same thing. I'm going to get the loot from those Rogue Exiles, so very nice. Now, you do also drop a lot of unique items from doing this strategy. That's because of the toughness scarab. It's gonna make them drop a lot of uniques. I dropped a Ralakesh today. That was my best, but you can see you do drop an awful lot of uniques. Especially from the last boss, you'll just be sat there printing uniques for you as you wait for the fragments to drop. I had that a lot of times. It takes a good 10-20 seconds a lot of times just for the loot to drop from the final boss. But it's all good. Eventually, you're going to get something good, right? If you're dropping this many uniques. Maybe we can show that right here. Very tanky. This boss is going to be much tankier than normal because of this Titanic Scarab. So keep that in mind. Also, we've got the Max Life as ES. So this guy's he's going to take some time to kill. So bear that in mind if you're coming in here. Maybe you want to be on a stronger build, something like an Archmage or a Hex Blaster, or you're a fellow Lightning Strike enjoyer like myself. He went down no problem though, and then we got the Ritual. Now he is going to get summoned in the Ritual, so we're going to have to kill him a couple more times throughout the duration of this map, which is going to be a bit annoying, but maybe worth it for these extra, these extra Scarabs are going to drop from these Rogue Exiles. Now, one thing I do expect from these changes to T17s is they get a bit more expensive, so bear that in mind when we go over things today. The T17s are very likely to go up in price now that a much larger portion of the player base are going to feel confident running them, at least initially after these patches, so wouldn't be surprised if we see T17s jump up in price. If that does happen, then you could maybe hop on at the map farming strat I released earlier, and you could farm yourself some T17s to sell to everyone else. Make some money that way. That's probably what I'm going to be doing if I had to guess. I'm going to just farm some maps in the meantime while the T17 prices settle down a little bit. Let's dump these maps. So I'll meet you at the end of this map, and we'll go over exactly what I got. I'll put it in a separate tab. So there we are, done with the map. We ended up getting some decent Scarabs. Obviously, we've got the discernment, the calcification, the doublings are good value, stability, all the essence Scarabs, get divination cards, Scarabs, all this stuff. Very, very easy to sell on the currency exchange. Harbinger Scarabs, again, liquid gold, easy to sell. All this stuff very quickly adds up, as well as getting these fragments. And as you can see, here's 60 that I made earlier. All these Scarabs, and again, the fragments. And everything else. Not too much currency, as I did roll the maps for exclusively Scarabs. Did drop myself a little Hinocora's Lock, very nice. Also a Ralakesh's Impatience, but not anything else too crazy. Just the 2 lucky drops today that I won't be including in the roundup. So let's go on over to the spreadsheet. I did forget to include that last map, so we've got 2.8 divines to add on. The rest was about 143 divines, so we'll call that 145, which I've got written in the sheet. You can see that's the Hinocora's Lock that bumps it up to 196. This took me from about 9 PM to, well, it was about here when I stopped, and then I've just recorded the map now. So it took me about 5 hours in total, which is 12 maps per hour, which I think is perfectly reasonable. You just saw the one I did there. It took me a few minutes, but on stream it's a bit longer. So very good results, actually. We ended up getting 19 divs per hour, but how did this happen? And one of the main reasons, of course, is Scarabs for this strat are incredibly cheap. 1.65C for Anarchies, 3.5C for Gigantifications, 1.25C for Titanics. Rolling the maps did cost a lot, 855 Chaos Orbs to roll all the maps. This could be more or less now. They did change things. Obviously, I would like to do this test afterwards, but I'd already done it, so it kind of happened halfway through. But I did notice it didn't seem all that worse to roll for Scarab maps. It just kind of depends on what mods your build is able to run. So bear that in mind when you do this. If you can't do many maps, you're going to get shafted by the chaos cost to roll the map for one you can potentially run, especially with a good Scarab roll. So bear that in mind 100%. T7s, I bought 60 fortresses for 42 divines at the start of my stream today. They have gone up. So let's assume you were paying today's prices. You still would have made 15 divines. I did not have to pay that much, so we'll keep it clean. I got 19 divines, and it was about 1.61 divines per map. So this was actually, I think, the best one out of the ones that I did. We got 18 there, 17 there. So yeah, this one ended up actually blowing all the others out of the water. Now, I'm not too surprised by that, because these Rogue Exiles do drop a ton of loot, and it is important to mention, I only added in the ritual stuff like 20 maps in, because I did a random ritual that naturally spawned and realized it worked that way. As I mentioned, I didn't think it did at the start of the video. But yeah, I ended up starting doing that, and it adds a lot more loot to the map, but it does make it take a bit longer. So if your build's capable of doing this, it seems to be a very, very good method of farming for Scarabs. So that rounds out the trifecta of Scarab farms that I've done. We've done magic mobs, we've done rare mobs, we've now done unique mobs. So that's all of them done. You can use every single one of them to reliably farm Scarabs in T17s. Who'd have thought? The maps that say more Scarabs on them are good for farming more Scarabs. I would never have guessed, but here we are. T17s are great, at least in terms of loot. Don't know how you feel about them elsewise. If this does change, as I said, you can come in and change the value, and you can see we're still doing pretty good at 15 divines per hour. I would personally wait for them to come down a little bit, and maybe farm them yourself and sell them in the meantime. if would be my suggestion right now. But yeah, great strat, a lot of fun. If you farmed any of my strats this league and it's helped you make currency and you're still watching the video at this point, I'm going to assume you have enjoyed them to a certain degree. So let me know in the comments, you know, how you've been getting on with trying any of the farms out. If you've been winning, if you've been losing, how you think I could improve stuff. Obviously, I've made many more videos this league because people have been quite receptive to them, and it's nice, right? So if any of you have any like recommendations, stuff like that, I'm all ears, because like I'm not very good at YouTube, but I like doing it. Sometimes I like sharing stuff. So I'm not really trying to make videos. I'm just trying to share things. So if you have any ideas of how I can kind of merge those two things together a bit more, I'm all ears. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.